all aboard the Eldar hype train.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com. We've got the new Eldar, potentially wave one of a new release here in the studio that we're going to take a look in this video. We're going to unbox and build all 4 of these kits here. Maybe not all 10 of these Guardians kits. That's just a little overdone. But let's break down the pricing real quick because, you know, a lot of people out there, well, talking about a lot of things about this release, right? But pricing wise, I mean, the prices have gone up. The normal prices have gone up, but the prices, because these are redesigned, have also gone up. So, you know, I guess at the end of the day, always vote with your hobby dollars. Of course, you can get your hobbies for less at dicehead.com, Amazon, hopefully your local game store, etc. There's a Start Collecting box coming out that's going to include the Guardians. Those are 150, or excuse me, not Start Collecting, Combat Patrol. Those are 150. They're going to have the Guardians. They're going to have some Jetbikes. They're going to have the Wraith Lord. And I think the Farseer too. But just keep in mind that, you know, unless you really need the bikes, it might not be of value to you. So everything's all about value at this point in time, you know, because it's not a cheap hobby to get into. I don't think any hobbies are cheap in general. But, you know, there are some fill badsies when you look at a Guardian box, you know, like, yo, these Guardians were just like $35. Like, you know, a month ago, and all of a sudden we got new Guardians, and new Guardians are $55. Now, granted, yeah, they're great. This is the first Guardians we've seen since basically Bill Clinton was president. That are actually models, and they're designed better. They're not like, you know, the legs aren't left and right halves. Actually, I think it was 97 or 98, yeah, for sure. And, you know, that's cool to see and everything, but I can see where, you know, a lot of people are upset about the pricing too. So I get it. But we're gonna look at the kit. We're going to break it down. We're going to take because the sprues weren't online, so I was a little worried about that. GW didn't put the sprues on their site. Dark Reapers at 60, not a big surprise because we saw the Banshees, we saw the Incubi, and we kind of knew the writing was on the wall on that one. Warlocks at 55, which is another feel badsies when, you know, 4 Warlocks and a Farseer was, or maybe 3, I don't even know at this point, were just basically $35, and now there's a price increase in new models, and now we're up to, you know, $55 for 2 models right there. Although there are some options, we'll take a look at it. And Maugan himself, $45. The latest Phoenix Lord since Janzar came out, $45, and we'll take a look at him because I don't think there's any options on him. First up, we'll take a look at the Dark Reapers. Now, obviously, this is an all-new kit. It's got 82 plastic components. They come on the, I guess, the new Eldar size of 28.5-ish or so size bases here. You know, the Marine ones are 32 millimeters approximately. The Exarch has a bunch of weapons as far as, a missile launcher, a shuriken cannon, Tempest launcher, and the standard, you know, you could call it basic bitch, Tempest launcher, I suppose, or Reaper launcher rather. Also, they give you the options to make a like 5th one here, so you're not locked into making an Exarch. So, like, you know, which I don't really understand because I'm not sure. Well, I guess there is the strat, the Fire and Fade still. So either way, if you want to make a big squad, I suppose you could easier than, you know, because you're always locked into making the Exarch. So there's that. It's gonna get 3 of the smaller size kind of sprues, or 1.5 large size sprue in this box. Oh, and there's a little shrine, Dark Reaper shrine thing too. So looking at the instructions, not a whole lot of options. You are going to get a choice of heads, I believe. So you can have the bear head or the skull head. And, you know, a lot of people didn't give the skull head a fair shake, I feel like. I just don't think GW painted it that well. So hopefully we see some people with some better shaded and washed ones out there, because I kind of like the skull helm, but we'll find out here in a second. The posing on these looks pretty good. Like, this guy's kind of walking, this guy's kind of standing. Then you've got this one that's kind of striding. There's one where he's changing out the Tempest or the Reaper launcher end barrel, I guess. I guess they get hot and you got to switch them out, or because I thought the ammunition's down here, or maybe that's a stabilizer. I don't even know anymore what is canon in Eldar lore. And then you've got the 4 weapons here that I talked about, and notice how you can just make I think this is just a normal Reaper, yeah, normal Dark Reaper right here. So you can get 5 regular dudes, or you can get 4 dudes in the Exarch, and then the Exarch can have one of these weapons too. So that's kind of cool to see. So as far as options go, that is basically it. They go together, it seems like pretty okay, like left and right legs here. I'm not exactly sure what this is. It's kind of like a little shin piece, maybe. It seems like it's on that for all of them. So I don't know. We saw that with Marines. They had the little greave bit up there, and then you've got a left and a right kind of arm sort of thing. This one, the arm's actually on the launcher itself, which is interesting. So it won't be quite of a skill check to kind of line up the two sets of arms, hopefully, but we'll find out. And then the antenna on the back, stabilizer, extra ammo, and back bit right there, and then of course choice of head. So I mean, in theory, it's a very basic kind of kit, to be quite honest. And there isn't a whole lot of sprues in here, and they do look very, very small. But there you see a better look at them, and you can see all the different barrels, the little Reaper Shrine. Actually, I guess that's multiple parts. And then all the antennas and things, and the weapons, and then the last bit, the last sprue right here, once it comes into focus, there we go, is all the other bits. Like, it looks like it's more XRP stuff. That one's the X-Arc. And some other random... I really like the heads. Like, I don't know. Oh, there's... Wait, there was more. Oh, so there's three... Is it three different styles of heads, or is that just for the X-Arc? I forget. 1, 2... No, it's just 2 styles of heads for the duders. Interesting. Okay, well, either way, we'll get that assembled here shortly, and let's take a look at the next box. Guardians in the house, and like I said, I was a little worried about this because they didn't have the sprues on the site, the sprue pictures, which they normally do. So there's all your bases, the 40 mil for the weapon platform, and then it's going to be, it looks like 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 sprues, including a weapons platform. Now this is interesting. The weapons platform has all the bits for the Storm Guardians. Not all the bits, because we don't have the fusion guns, so I guess it doesn't matter. Nope, it doesn't necessarily matter. They're not going to be able to split this up in any meaningful way, I don't think. This is just how they laid it out on the sprue. And then decal sheet. I guess that's a new decal sheet. Yeah, 2022. So we'll start seeing that probably in a lot of kits there. So you got all the major craft worlds and some other icons and the infinity symbol for the infinity circuit and all that stuff. Let's take a look at the instructions. Overall, this kit's going to have 152 different bits in here, and you're going to be able to swap between the Storm Guardians or the Guardian Defenders themselves. And we'll show you some, I think there's a way to magnetize this stuff here. You could magnetize these, and we'll take a closer look. I'm not sure we're gonna for this video, because I don't know how many of you out there actually want to swap the arms, but it is doable. As we saw with some of the stuff in the Eldritch Omens box. So to assemble the base models, it isn't quite as easy as I thought it was going to be. So before, there was a left and right half to the legs, and then they put them into the torso, and there was a left and right top, which now it looks like it's actually very similar. So they got a bottom leg, a front, and then a back, and some of them have 2 different sets of legs. So still going to be a lot of work. But I guess that's to get that dynamic pose between having a close combat weapon and also having the shuriken weapons here. I don't know. So then you go into here and you choose what you're going to build. Like this particular one here, 5 is, you can build it like this with the rangefinder and the gun. And it looks like there's a bunch of different heads, so no shortage of heads. I would just go helmet to head, to be honest, because painting skin is an extra thing. You got the monofilament molecular sticks to shuriken ninja star shoot. Those are all pretty much words, but I think if you play Eldar, you know what I'm talking about. And then the weapon platform over here, that's interesting. So they're just like, hey, it's pretty much like this, just put them together times 10. Oh, okay, so this times 10. So you put a backpack on the duder. There's a couple different 9 different backpacks, it looks like, and then you attach the head and the weapons right there, and boom, that gets you all that. You put the extra ammo on there, etc. Heavy weapon platform just goes together like the one we saw in the past, front, top, bottom, and then you've got this little bit here that I guess you could glue that to, and that would rotate, but I think we're going to try to magnet that, so we'll take a look at that in a second. Star cannon, shuriken cannon, scatter laser, Eldar rocket launcher, or missile launcher, I guess it's called, and Bright Lance all come in the set. And then we've got the Storm Guardians, which have a lot more bits here, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit more in-depth build. But then you can do the fusion guns here. Looks like there's going to be 4 of them available to the set, which is pretty significant, to be quite honest, because those didn't used to come. You used to have to buy this like upgrade thing, and it was kind of a pain in the butt. Not that anybody actually ran Storm Guardians, but it is what it is. And then to build the little what is this, the shield platform thing, Serpent Scale, it looks like it's just a bit that goes on there, but you don't put the weapon cowl on the front, the armor plate, and there's the little doodads, very similar to what we saw in the Wave Serpent. So, but I think there's some play here as far as how to actually assemble those. We already looked at the sprues, and I mean, to be quite honest, let's see, they're going to be the 28.5 millimeter. There isn't anything super spectacular about these, just the fact that there's a whole lot of heads on them, which is kind of cool to see. So you can go helmeted head, you can go little tassel head or tassel helmeted head, depending on how crazy you want to get. But it looks like there's a lot more, well, there's about equal bear heads as there is to helmeted heads. And then, you know, you've got options for the little trackball mouse, you know, that controls the weapon platform and things like that. So that's really neat to see. So we'll put that together here in a second as well, and jump to the next kit. The Eldar Warlocks, I think, are the ones, or the kit that has everybody kind of scratching their head, I mean, the most as far as price goes. So these guys are, or they appear to be, on 32 millimeter bases. I'm pretty sure they are. I can't get that other one out of there. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. There's the one in there. It's one sprue, and you know, it's just as much material as, you know, Maugan Raw that I'm about to show you here in a second. But it's 2 models. So in GW money, you know, it's a deal because you're getting 2 characters, which technically really you don't feel as like HQs or anything, for $55. Whereas, you know, one, say Maugan Raw or, you know, Janzar is 45, but you know, it just doesn't feel the same, I suppose, and I can see people's point, right? So let's take a look at the instructions here and see what we can see. So it looks like there's a front, and you got to put the shoes on. Oh, you have to attach the shoes to the cape. That's interesting. Hopefully that locks in pretty good. And then the top here, and then you put some, you have a choice of arms. You can either use the magic fingers, do the finger thing, or you can have a shuriken pistol, and then you have 4 different choices of heads. And that looks like the old Necromunda Warlock head, which is really cool. I dig that. And then over here, you're going to have choice. Is that Witchblade or Singing Spear? I think so. And so choice of that. So you're going to put this like hooded arm, kind of cloaked arm thing on, and you can put either weapon on there. But I'm wondering, 24, 24, 11, 11. So they only give you 1 of each. So only one can have a Singing Spear, only one can have a Witchblade, I suppose. Which is kind of buster, I guess. Like, what if you want them both? I don't know what they do in the new Codex. Maybe they do the same thing, and it doesn't even matter. But aesthetically speaking, you know, maybe you want a certain pose. Looks like there's some tactical rocks to stand on. Do they do the same thing? They don't do the same thing. So I don't know anymore. It's all very confusing. They don't do the same thing. Who knows? So $55. That box right there. We'll take a look at it in a second. And then last but surely not least, the man, the myth, the legend, Maugan Raw, reborn into this really, really cool form here, which I think is, you know, it's neat. It's super dynamic. It's on a 40 mil base, which is pretty dope. And not a whole lot to the sprue. As you just saw, there was 2 models on that other sprue, same exact size, for $55. He's got a lot of bits, a lot of cool stuff here. Super spooky. He's a super spooky Eldar boy, and I really like this like tattered. This is stuff that they did with the Nighthaunt models, and they kind of ported it over. And this little faux wraith, I guess it's wraithbone. Yeah, I guess it's wraithbone. Kind of arch he's standing on. Let's see how difficult this might be to put together. And so it looks like his leg is actually part of a tactical wraith rock, and then the other leg glues on, front glues on here. Is his skull already part? Oh wow, so his head's already, look at that, his head's already in there. I didn't even notice that at first. That's pretty wild. And then you've got his arms, extra bits around. Now we saw that in the video because there was a huge gapping issue, so I hope that's not a thing. and then you just kind of lock it all together, a little clamshell, and you've got the backpack that goes on. The tactical wraith bone element here, very similar to Drazar. It looks like that locks down, and then you're good. Yeah, okay. So in theory, this doesn't look too hard, I suppose. In theory, right? So, okay, cool. Well, now that we've showed you all of the sprues, let's get to building and let you know what we think of all these models. Okay, going back to the top of the order here, the Dark Reapers look great. Like, yeah, there's a lot of flat areas in the head right there, so watch out for that, but that really gives you a lot of opportunity to blend and do some washes and keep it from looking kind of silly. I don't agree with GW's paint job, but I feel like a lot of times, you know, people have a lot to say about GW paint jobs, but these are very dynamic models. Now, are they tiny? Yes. Are they very well done as far as composition and construction? Yeah, absolutely. But at that point, you're like, okay, well, do I want to spend $60 on them? And that, you know, that might be why you're here watching this video. I can tell you they're not any. I mean, they're really great quality when it comes to something designed by Games Workshop, which I feel like is always the case. They're always crushing it with these models, and this is exactly what I would expect from a Dark Reaper, and the fact that there's a bunch of different helmet options. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to vote with your hobby dollars and just kind of go from there. They're all very, very cool looking and all have great poses. This actually is 1 bit, so because, you know, I guess the Reaper thing is the Reaper's down there. I don't know where the Reaper is, but either way, it's a cool little icon. And then the Exarch I like the most. He's got a lot going on. He's got the super spooky face, and you know, I don't know where he got who gave that guy a skull. I don't know. That guy's just found. He just found a skull somewhere, and then he's got the normal Reaper launcher up there. But you can see where he's got a lot more accoutrement and things happening right here on his little stable servo. I guess that's their stabilizer things. Why they can move and shoot so well. Now, how do they apply, or how do they stack up to something like a Primaris Marine? Well, just to give you an idea, if I can stop dropping things, that's pretty much how they line up. So, you know, the scale is definitely, I feel like they've gotten, the scale is accurate, but they've gotten thinner. They've gotten more to, like, you know, hey, this is sculpted with a computer and not a human hand, so we can actually get it, you know, positioned to be like that fey kind of elfy look. But their height is definitely what we would expect, right? So I feel like this is exactly what we'd expect, and it's not out of scale, especially because the Exarch's, you know, a little bit more Billy Badass, and then the regular duders here, well, they're a little tiny compared to a Space Marine, but, you know, definitely a Primaris Space Marine. But that's what we definitely would expect. Now here's Maugan Raw. Which is awesome, by the way. Look at everything that's going on, like the composition of this model and how dynamic it is, and you can see, you know, some of the areas there. This went together well, so just, you know, always make sure that you're using some of that super thin Tamiya glue, which I always forget to bring in here when I'm recording. This was not kind of filled in very well, but if you use a lot of that, you know, super thin glue here, this, you know, and stick it together, this will fuse together, so you won't have that gapping. And even if you have the gapping, you can go back, like, oh, I forgot I was watching TV, whatever, go back with the gapping, or go back over it, and you're good to go. Or what you can do is get some Vallejo plastic putty, squeeze it in there, let it dry. It won't recede, or you know, it won't go down into the gap. It'll actually dry exactly where you put it. But everything else looks great. You know, there's that was actually part of the model which we just showed you, and then up here he's got a scythe, and man, everything just looks really, really cool. Now, how does he compare to a Primaris Space Marine? Well, he's a lot bigger because he's a Phoenix Lord, and that's what they do. They're just, you know, the masters of that aspect, so to speak. So that guy's pretty cool too. Let's take a look at, we'll do the Guardians last because there's only we didn't put all of those together. All right, so here's the Warlocks, which, you know, look pretty cool. And to be quite honest, these are just as big as a Farseer model-wise. So I don't, you know, you could use them as whatever, to be quite honest. They say they're Farseer, or they say they're Warlocks, but do what you want. Vote with those hobby dollars. I like the composition, and I like, you know, the posing of all this. They are on 32 mil bases. They're gonna be tall-ish because they're standing on these little rock formations. So that's kind of cool to see. But again, you know, you have magic fingers or shuriken pistol, and then you only have 1 spear and 1 witchblade, if that's what those are. I think that's what Warlocks have. And last but not least, we magnetized up the Guardians, but we only put a couple of them together. So I'm gonna show you why, because we didn't really need to. So first off, if you want to magnetize, if you really want to magnetize these, to switch them between Storm Guardians and regular Guardians, you can. You just need 1/16 by 1/32 magnets, and just put these together first, then drill in a hole, put your magnets in, they'll fit, and then you'll just magnetize the arms. So the arms will actually have the magnet on the outside. So the magnet will kind of stick out a little bit. You're not going to be able to drill into the arm itself as much. So just be careful there. You may have to make it recess a little bit. It is doable. I don't think it's personally worth it, to be quite honest. It might just be a bridge too far. I wasn't going to try it because, you know, we had all this stuff to get together and record. But let's take a look at some of the posing on these guys. Now, here's a Storm Guardian. Now, remember, too, this same exact pose can have the shuriken cannon or the shuriken gun, shuriken whatever. And it would look cool, you know, depending on how you pose the head here. You know, he'd be gotten like this way and looking this way. But this guy's kind of moving that way and looking that way. So there's a lot of dynamic customization going on here. And even if you want these guys to have the top knots, you can do that too. There's no reason not to. And then the fusion gun, you know, you get like 4 of these in there, which is really neat to see. And we never had anything plastic to that scale. Still don't have the fire dragons yet, but that's okay. And then the trackball controller. So, you know, this is how he plays Pong or controls this little weapon platform thingy over here. And speaking of weapon platform thingy, so you can also use that same size magnet. Just drill a hole right here and drill a hole up into all the weapon bits, because they're all pretty much the same, as long as you check your polarizations. Now you're gonna need the weapon cowl on the front, or the armor plate, because these go on that, right? But as you just saw, so those lock in and you can go pew 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 pew. If you need to, you can put some plastic putty over that or anything, but definitely seal it. Once you prime it, seal it so it doesn't chip up and you won't have any issues. There you go. So all of these will fit right into it depending on what you're trying to do. And I definitely would magnetize these, because you never know what these, you know, we've seen star cannons get nerfed because, oh, they're too powerful to AP, oh, rendering, well, maybe that was 15 years ago, I don't know. But you just never know what you're going to need, you know, what the new meta is going to be or the new update's going to be. So it's just usually better to magnetize your stuff. And one of the cool things you can do if you're on a Storm Guardians, you can just put that back here and then just, like, who cares? It's just a base. It doesn't matter. Hey, boom, now you got this cool looking thing right here, and everything's magnetized, and you don't have to worry about having to glue stuff down and, you know, make your builds and your army redundant there. So that's just my 2 cents of how to build and what to look for when it comes to these new kits. I'm holding the cat if you can't hear it purring. Anyways, say hi to hi everybody, Sarah. So I think overall, you know, this release is pretty interesting. Obviously, there's going to be some things to say about the price, but at the end of the day, you just got to vote with your hobby dollars and pick up the new model kits that are, you know, important to you. And don't forget, there's definitely some more stuff on the horizon as well, because we haven't seen the Shining Spears, we haven't seen, well, the Avatar yet either, or of course, the single releases from Eldritch Omens box, and of course the rest of the Aspect Warriors that haven't even been previewed yet. So don't even know if we're going to get those in 2022, unfortunately. But fingers crossed for some Warp Spiders and some Fire Dragon love, especially Fugan. Whoo! That's going to be fire, literally, in the near future. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching our unboxing build of, I guess, what is the Eldar Wave 1 and 2022 Wave 1 release. Can't wait to get our hands on the Avatar model. But until then, make sure to vote with your hobby dollars and always get your hobbies for less from places like dicehead.com, Amazon, and of course, your local game store. If you liked that video feature, consider supporting us over at patreon.com and get back in the mail each month a miniature crate full of some of the stuff we review here, as well as some of the top 3D artist designs out there too, to help support what they're doing. Plus, discount coupon codes from some of those same manufacturers. They're yours to keep, whether you cancel or stay on. It's totally up to you. Obviously, we want to keep you as happy as possible. So check it out over at patreon.com/SpikyBits.